and I want to be alone forever. My ex-husband has been dating for 6 years.
Both times he was like, you don't look like your photos. Your photos look like you were a lot thinner than what you were in person.
It's emotional roller coaster. It's lonely. It's heartache.
After I got divorced, I was so lonely and isolated.
I think I was so consumed by what it was doing to me. I was taking good care of my kids, and I thought that was enough.
I would rather eat hot garbage with a spoon from a trap house than to ever download another dating app.
So what's our take on dating while getting divorced? I've definitely been asked on dates. I did meet one guy for ice cream and like had ice cream with him, and it was fine, but it wasn't like, I wasn't interested. I feel like my marriage has really been over for so long that like, I don't feel like I have to wait. And plus I'm old, super old, and I want to be alone forever. And my ex-husband has been dating for 6 years as it is. So, I don't know. What's our take on dating? I feel like I could do a casual date. I don't want to jump into like a long-term relationship. But I'm also not like a casual dater. I like to be in a relationship. And I just happen to not have been in one for a long time, even though I was married. Yeah. So what's our take? Dating while getting divorced. I don't know.
Now, it's so hard on women dating after getting divorced because they're used to being in a marriage. That's why they feel lonely. That's why they expect the man to be how they used to be. But this dating game nowadays is so much different. It's so much harder. And a lot of women are struggling.
So I had a realization today. I've been divorced for 3.5 years, and I went through 1.5 years of counseling after my marriage broke up, and I've dated on and off in that 3.5 years. I don't have any kids, so it was a clean break in my divorce. I'm a church worker. I'm a strong Christian, and I try to live by Christian values when dating. I'm also a woman of the real world and understand, when dating, what it's like to date out in the real world. And it is so hard. It is so hard to find someone who is looking for someone of value, who's not wanting to sleep with someone right away, and who's not wanting to, change their morals because they are a single woman. I just can't understand why it's hard out here for us good women. I don't understand. I'm looking for a good man. It's not like I'm out here, looking to change people or anything like that. It's, I've done the work on myself. Last year I went through a huge weight loss journey. And a guy that I dated last month, I went out with him twice, and both times he was like, you don't look like your photos. Your photos look like you were a lot thinner than what you were in person. Like, what?
No comment. Next question.
Are we doing this? Are we really doing that? I don't know why this is hard. I went out for the girlfriend tonight, and we were talking about okay, well, what is it that I need to work on? Because obviously there's something wrong with me because I'm not able to figure out how to be in a healthy, good relationship. And she was like, Emily, what's wrong with you? I don't understand why you think it's you. Why you always have to change you. And I'm like, I'm the common denominator, right? I'm the one who's not been able to date someone and be in a relationship. And she's like, what if it's not the right time? And I was like, but why would God wait this long? I'm 38. It's not like this has been an easy journey for me of being pregnant. I had 3 miscarriages in my first marriage. My time clock is ticking. I've been in youth ministry for 16 years working with teenagers. I'd love to be a mom. Why is this hard? She's like, what if it's not you? What if it's just not the right time? And that's really hard to accept because I'd like to.
Look, now in this day and age, it's never going to be the right time. Being a Christian and trying to get guys to be the way you would love for a guy to be, like your ex-husband probably was, it's going to be a nightmare. Why is it going to be a nightmare? Because men have been corrupted and led by modern women. Yes, now you have men in this day and age that want a woman to be fit. Yes, you do have to be fit. You probably need to lose some more weight. That's going to make things a lot more easier for you. It is. I'll tell you right now, if you dropped 40 more pounds, you would have guys beating down your door. And maybe some guys will wait too, but as far as waiting to get some, it's sad, but it's hard being a Christian nowadays because it's not going to happen for you. So you got to give your life over to God. Stick with that because you're going to have a lonely journey, a lonely road ahead. It's going to get worse.
You know, I've just come out of a marriage and my life is really just all over the place. And it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for me. So it'd be a lot for a potential partner to have to deal with me. And I mean, like, I literally think that last week I had some sort of mental breakdown, but I'm fine again now. Excuse me. Oh, we're used to seeing Sarah Snot cry, everybody.
I've seen men leave 5-10-year relationships and turn around and marry a woman.
The reason men will leave long-term relationships for a new woman and move on like that is because of something called the 90-10 rule. Basically what it means is the woman he's with might have 90% of what he's looking for. And even though most people are lucky to have 90% in common with someone, he becomes so resentful of the 10% that she doesn't have that when a new woman comes along and embodies that 10%, he's so enthralled with the 10% that she does have that he starts to convince himself that it's 100% of what he wants. So he jumps ship like that, and down the line, he realizes that this woman only has 10% of what he's looking for, but it doesn't matter because he already left the 90% behind. Follow for more and good luck.
Well, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, it is somewhat, but what it is the new woman is comfortable with a lot less, right? That's what it is. She may be comfortable with not doing certain things in a relationship to where she may accept 40%, where his past wife only wanted a guy to be at 80. So if he meets that 40, that's fine with him, and they'll be happily ever after. See, the thing is, women have to accept less. You can't keep being the way you are, demanding the world to lay at your feet, and not give anything as well. So many women are doing that. And guys are fed up with it. And it's showing now.
Yes, it's hard being married for a long time and then getting separated and going through a divorce. I was married for, I think, 31 years. And I want to tell you right now, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to walk through the fire. It's emotional roller coaster. It's lonely. It's heartache. If you can try to treat your ex with as much patience and kindness as possible, it makes it easier than being angry or bitter or upset about that person. I don't know whose decision this was, but you can try and do it with as much grace for yourself as possible. And I would love to have you join my private Facebook group. It's full of love and tips and healthy guidance. Please message me, Facebook, and I'll make sure you get a link to it.
If you notice he moved on very quickly after the breakup, I'm going to explain why. It's going to make you feel a lot better about the situation, and it'll give you some clarity as to why he's doing this. If you notice the guy has moved on very quickly from you, either he, A, is just partying a lot, either B, he now has a new girl in his life, or C, he's just acting like he truly does not care about you, I'm going to explain what it is. Guys have a very different way of healing from a breakup. For them, it's really hard for them to sit with their emotions and to actually dwell on them. So for them, it's very easy to distract themselves with like external factors. A lot of the times their ego is hurt, so they are going to use another form of validation to make them feel better about themselves again. So especially if it was a hard breakup, or you needed to break up with him, or maybe he just has some things going on in his life and he ended it, whatever the case is, okay? And you notice that he is moved on, or it looks like he's moved on. Again, guys do not process emotions the same way as girls do. They don't have the same resources that we do. We have our friends, we have our family. A lot of guys tend to suppress their emotions because it's just not a normal thing for guys to talk about their feelings with their bros. So in this regard, they're gonna do things to distract themselves from feeling terrible. I promise you, guys feel the emotions the same way we do. They are sad about a breakup. If he has moved on with a brand new girl, I'm telling you right now, that will not last, because he is using her, unfortunately, to build his ego back up. And his feelings for you have not gone away. They haven't. That's just like us. We don't have feelings that go away so easily. It's the same way for them. Remember, they heal differently though. So maybe a month or two later, it's going to hit them and they're going to come back like they always do, and they're going to end up missing you. When you see that he's doing these types of behaviors, I want you to really understand that this is someone who's not truly healed. This is how he's going to make himself feel better at the end of the day, because he is hurting, and this is just a facade he wants to portray that he's doing so fine without you, but he's really not, girl. He's not.
That's a who said.
In my opinion, it's best to just block this person. Don't see anything of what's going on. It's only going to make it worse. Like, when you have out of sight, out of mind, it's going to help you heal so much more. If it was meant to be, it's going to be. So you just kind of have to let it play out. But trust me, he's hurting just as much as you are. Don't think that he is not thinking about you, because he absolutely is. However, we're not going to dwell on the past. We need to keep things as they are, keep things moving. You're going to heal eventually. Remember to stay safe, and I love you.
Every situation doesn't play out in your mind how you think it does. That's what she was doing right there. She's judging every single man that gets out of a marriage like one man, or what some men go through. That's not all men. When you are in a bad relationship or bad marriage, you can't wait, or a situation happens where you realize, wait a minute, I think this is better for me. That's what happens to guys. Guys tend to have that aha moment, especially because guys talk to other guys about their feelings, but we don't get too much on how we feel. We get too much on thinking, right? So when we talk to another man, logic comes into play. And then when you're logically speaking to another man about a relationship, we usually give each other logical answers. So a logical answer is, hey, she's causing problems all the time. Yeah, she's causing problems all the time. Well, now you can find someone that doesn't cause problems. You can find someone that's okay dealing with what you were doing wrong, right? Because he's going to admit his faults. He's not going to leave the situation going, I didn't do anything wrong, like a female would. Most females do that. I didn't do nothing wrong. It was all him. He didn't do this. He made me do all the manual labor, and he didn't do anything while he took care of all the yard work and everything else. But that's not mentioned. He took care of everything that he's supposed to take care of as a man. That doesn't matter. He didn't help me with anything. So sometimes men would rather, or they're happier outside of the situation.
After I got divorced, I was so lonely and isolated. It was awful. And it's easy to think that if you just had a partner again, or could just meet somebody, that would cure your loneliness, but it actually doesn't. For example, have you ever been in a relationship and still felt lonely? I know I have. So I just want you to maybe readjust your perspective on that and not look for the cure of loneliness in a relationship. I work on all this inside stuff and figure out the root of your loneliness and address that before you even start thinking about getting into another relationship, because people can sense and feel that. Just a thought for you.
The only difference between being miserable and being happy is the ability to manage your own mind. Being happy is a choice. It's a skill. And here's one way that you can be a little less miserable today. I'm Colleen, and I help professional women reduce their alcohol consumption by 80%. The mistake I made for years was trying to change my behavior, changing my drinking habits, without changing the thinking habits that made me want to drink. Which is why the number one tool that you need is awareness. You got to start paying attention to the stories that you're telling yourself. So I'm in the middle of a divorce, and I didn't make any plans this weekend because I'm traveling next weekend and I've got a lot of stuff to do at my house. And as I sat down to watch a movie, I noticed I was feeling a little lonely, a little sad, a little left out. My subconscious was inviting me to a pity party, and had I not been aware of my feelings, I might have been sucked right into that. But good thing it's not my first day here in Crazy Town, so I checked in with myself and said, hey, is there something else you want to be doing? I was already doing exactly what I wanted to be doing. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to have people over. I'd had a great day by myself. And once I realized there was nothing else I wanted to be doing, the solution was really simple. I just needed to tell myself a better story. So I started thinking thoughts on purpose like how proud I am of myself and how much I have to look forward to. And how nice it is to not have to share the remote or worry about what somebody else wants for dinner. And I acknowledge that everything has pros and cons. Nothing is all good or all bad. Feeling lonely isn't the product of being alone.
Well, actually,
it's the story you're telling yourself about what that means. And once you acknowledge that nothing is perfect, it doesn't feel like toxic positivity. It just is what it is, and you can make the best of it.
A lot of them saying how they feel lonely when they're probably or most likely the ones that initiated everything. Right? And what happens is a man, he pays, so a lot of times he takes on all of the money. So he has to pay that out. Or sometimes when a woman's younger, custody battles are at hand. But still, he thinks finally. They don't realize men come to the conclusion of finally, it's all done. It's finished. The work is finished. I get to be at ease. I get to relax. Sometimes guys are fine with just relaxing. Guys are fine with the peace and quiet. You see how they're saying they're thinking about their thoughts and they're stressing about their thoughts and they're stressing about the thoughts. They thought about those thoughts. That's what men don't do that. Some men do, but usually if a person is doing that, they're anxious. But you don't find guys thinking too much about their thoughts and thinking more thoughts about their thoughts like he explained. That's not something we do.
You know what I could never, ever, for the rest of my lifetime imagine having to do after having a husband and kids is having to go back into the dating world. Like, I'm just thinking, like, I can't even picture a guy texting me, like, what are you doing? And I'm, like, taking a shower and him being like, oh, no invite? Like, that really, really cringy stuff. And then, like, what if he doesn't know proper grammar usage and you find that out, like, a few dates in and you're like, not smart, can't do this one. Like,
no wonder you're single.
This is probably just a PSA to my husband. Like, don't mess up our marriage because I'm not gonna survive out there. I don't want to be on Tinder.
Do you think it's worth dating after divorce? I feel like we might have different answers. So I started dating right after my marriage ended, and if I could go back, I would have waited. I would have gotten my life dialed in a little bit and focused more. It's not that I didn't focus on the kids. My kids are always like my number one, but I didn't realize what divorce does to kids. Mm-hmm. And I wish that I think I was so consumed by what it was doing to me, and I was taking good care of my kids, and I thought that was enough. But I wish I would have spent more attention or spent more time talking to them about it. Yeah, more. And then once I got my life figured out, got a place, got a job, the kids are good, then maybe started dating. And then I would not introduce someone to my kids unless I know that.
You notice that she said that she would have thought about the kids. That's something that men think about more before they even initiate the divorce. Or sometimes men will put those thoughts outside of their head because they figure it out and go, wait a minute, my wife Yeah, she caused problems, but I got the kids. They're thinking about that. She was thinking about that. It shows she's only thinking about herself. I'm not saying she doesn't care about her kids, but for the most part, she's thinking on how she feels.
They're going to be in it for the long haul. They've met 2 people that I've dated, and I wish I would have waited longer to introduce them.
Yeah.
But I don't have mom guilt about that.
Right.
Like another question on here was like, how do you cope with mom guilt?
I think we're really good without mom guilt.
Yeah, we don't have mom guilt because we're just realistic. Like, we know that we're humans. We know that, like, we're not expected to be perfect. We know that we're trying our best.
Yes.
Sometimes my best is not always the right decision, but I learn from it, and I tell my kids, like, hey, I thought that was the right decision. I see that it wasn't. I learned from it. Now I'm going to do this next time, and I think it's good to, like, show them that. So we don't really have mom guilt.
I always think that if you are worried about being a good mom, that means you already are a good mom.
Absolutely.
Because bad moms aren't worried about it. They don't think about it. So if we're just like ever worried about, was that the right decision? Or, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. Or what? The fact that we even care and worry about it makes us good moms.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. And I remember thinking when my kids were younger that I needed everybody's like blessing and permission to do anything nice for myself. And you don't.
No.
You know, now I do nice things for myself because I love myself, and my kids see that, and I hope they will do that too, you know, because I know there's mom guilt around that, like doing something for yourself, but we don't have that.
I always tell my adult stepdaughters that we are people before we were wives and mothers. And so that's not our identity, our only identity. Like, we were an actual person.
Yes.
And so I'm all about that.
When are we going to start a podcast? That's definitely our goal. We're hoping that this will like organically flow into that. And so we are talking about it.
Also have no idea what we're doing.
Also that.
So we have to research.
We do have some names though. We have some ideas. We have 2 names that we really like.
And I was thinking about, like, I was like, what would we talk about? But then I really thought about, like, we have a lot of stories, I think, that might be interesting to other people.
Well, and it would be this. So literally we would just keep doing our videos for TikTok, and it would be on a podcast platform.
It would just be longer.
We might get, like, a nicer setup.
Why? This is so nice and tech.
We'll have to show everyone our studio space sometime.
It works for now.
Is a huge thing my divorce clients struggle with when it comes to dating and putting themselves back out there. I'm going to explain how to move through it. They are concerned that they are going to be perceived in a certain way because of the divorce, that they don't know how to have successful relationships, that they have baggage and aren't desirable, that there must be something wrong with them if they couldn't make it work, whatever. You want to take a good look at how you're anticipating others to perceive you, because if you assume that they're going to view you and your situation negatively, then you are going to show up in a lower value way with something to prove. You're not going to be your most empowered self. And this plays out in different ways, like oversharing about your situation, or putting your ex down, or hiding and staying small. You made a huge decision for yourself, ending a significant relationship. That took a lot of courage. You had a good reason. And when you can stand confidently in that and feel good about where you are, others won't have any thoughts about it. They'll respond to the energy you're giving off. So you need to decide today how you choose to think about your divorce moving forward. And if you choose to practice the belief that it's just a part of your story and it doesn't mean anything negative about you, then you will position yourself to attract people that will not care in the slightest.
Y'all keep asking me why my daddy's single, but have you been on a date nap? Like, honest to God, I haven't had date naps in my phone in like 2 years. And I would never do it again. I would rather eat hot garbage with a spoon from a trap house than to ever download another date nap.
Check the single woman box.
I would always get messages like, sup? What's your favorite color? Send pics. You got a Snapchat? Ugh. Can't do it. Ugh. Never gonna do it again. I certainly can't recommend that my dad do it.
I'm going to be 40 years old next year.
Over 27, unmarried, female. What do you call these ladies? We call them 剩女, which means leftover women.
And I have just reached a point in life where not only do I understand and realize how finite our time is, I have spent years thinking about what I do day in, day out, what's really at the heart of what I want to be doing, and getting rid of the things that don't serve me and making sure I add in new things that do in routines. And so what I mean by that is, one, I do like to work. I am passionate career-wise. I do several different things, and I have things I still want to start. So I make sure that I am doing those things and finding time for all of those things. I love learning. So listening to a podcast or a book every single day is a priority to me. I like to eat healthy. I cook a lot. Working out. I like to take baths and self-care. So I don't do a lot of things like watch TV. That was just something that I had to make a choice on, and I gave up. And then, I've got my kids, so I got to clean my house when they're not with me. I do all the laundry and things like that. By the time I'm done, I have used up like every single minute, and I could use a couple more, right? And so nobody really talks about how when you're in this state of life, which I feel like a lot of us midlife are, where we've got our careers built up, we might have kids, we've got hobbies, we've got routines, we've got sports we like to play, things like that. How on earth are you going to fold in getting to know another human being? With that said, it's just a work in progress. It's something to consider, though, that, as you start to date, you're going to have to rob some time from something. You are. Like, you're going to do things with your new partner that you maybe didn't do before. Like, you're going to want to cuddle and watch movies. And if you're allocating an hour or two to do that, you're robbing it. Like, you can't get the time back. So you robbed it from something else. And at some point, all of those things and routines that you had probably spent years building up are going to start creeping up. And you're going to start realizing, hey, I've neglected things. And don't let it be an either or. That's definitely a feeling that I have come up with. And I'm not letting it be I either can be in a relationship or I have to give up all of this. It doesn't have to be either or, but it is something that takes. I'm going to have to look at all of the things that I have done in my routines and the passions I have and the projects. And
can someone please tell me what's going on? Because I started dating again. Got stood up by a man that told me an hour before we were due to meet that he wasn't actually single. I've been stood up by a man that was actually trying to scam me with his girlfriend. However, I don't know what they were trying to actually get out of the situation other than possibly murder. Then I met up with this guy like 3 times and he went on holiday, and then I let him know that I was going out and he accused me of being on a date and being with someone and sleeping in a hotel with someone. And then I met up with somebody's son who then told me that if I wasn't going to him, there was no point in coming. On top of all that, I've got a girl that blocked me because I didn't reply fast enough. Another girl that I've told I'm not interested but keeps on messaging like every single day, like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a day. And then I've got a couple that are messaging me every day. Hi, how are you? What are you up to? How's your weekend going? In the hopes that I'm going to have a threesome with them one day. And 1,000 unread messages on a swinger site. Where does that leave me?
See, these women, they're getting into the market again and realizing it's full of piss, where a lot of men know it's full of piss, but they're able to maneuver around it better because of their mindset, right? They're not coming out of it expecting, okay, they are thinking they're going to find someone better, but not so much in the way they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it, I'm going to find a better man, probably more fit, probably more handsome, probably younger, and they're playing, you know, dealing with different guys for like 2 years. That's why guys know, every guy out there knows, don't get with a woman who just went through divorce, because when she becomes single, she's for the streets, and guys stay clear from that. But still, guys deal with it much easier because of the mindsets. And this is the hidden battle of newly divorced women. They get pissed at the exes, and the woman they end up with makes them jealous. They can't handle it. They can't handle that he moved on so fast. And I understand. Look what they're going through. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. See you next video.